Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Miss Calder and Mrs. Ayling. All three of us will be going on the Year 6 residential this year, which is very exciting. We are going from the 10th to the 14th of June, which is a Monday to a Friday, and we are very much looking forward to it. So all of the activities are set within the natural landscape. We venture into wild woodlands, we experience the sandy beaches, and depending on our timetable, we also climb some limestone cliffs. Most of the time we are on the campsite, which is a big open grassy field, where our camps are, where we sleep, we eat, we have our evening activities, unless we are going out crabbing or off to a different location. Land and Wave use really experienced staff that actually have a real passion for the sport and the activity that they lead. They are professionals and they've been doing it for many years. And that really comes through when they're teaching the children. Land and Wave is run by family and friends. They really care about their clients. We certainly don't feel like a number. They really think about our needs as an individual school and in turn the needs of the children as individuals as well. So we are based mainly at two different locations, and they're a short minibus ride away from one another. So Swanage Beach is where we do all of our water-based activities, which is, like it says, on the beach. We do paddle boarding, we do sea kayaking, we do raft building, and generally just have fun with the sand. We build sandcastles, we have our lunch down there. And then another location that we spend a lot of time in is the Jurassic Coast, where we do a coasteering activity, which I will come back to at the end of the video recording, because we really need to be clear on who can and can't swim this year. It's a new thing that Land and Wave are doing, because obviously we need to make sure the provision is in place and that everybody is safe and sound. So that is one of the main questions that we really need you as parents and carers to think about in terms of their swimming abilities. And then the other location is obviously actually Purbeck Valley Farm, which is where we sleep, which is the large grassy field. And this is just a map example of where we are, and we're right on the coast. We're very close also. When we're at Purbeck Valley Farm, we're really close to Corfe Castle, which is another activity that we sometimes get given on our timetable, which is where we walk to Corfe Castle and we have a walk around. We go up to the castle and the wreckage, and we look everywhere. It really is lovely. But we're right on the coast. Do you want this one, Mrs. Bailey?
Yeah. Okay, so obviously every evening they will sleep in a tent. So it's a TP tent with up to 5 other children. So we do try to keep it up to 6 maximum. Obviously same sex only, so girls only, boys only. It is a private enclosed farm that is supervised by Land and Wave, due to manage all night. So there's no chance of anything happening. Managers are there if we need anything or if anything happens. It is a shared site, but it's school groups only. So when we are there, we might be sharing with other schools, but everybody has their own sort of TP tent sites, their own toilets, their own showers, things like that. The breakfast and evening meal are eaten on site. However, sometimes like our lunch times, we actually take out with us if we're maybe coasteering or
on the beach
for paddleboarding, kayaking, things
like that. If we're up in the forest.
Yeah. And our evening activities take place here as well. Apart from maybe if we go crabbing, which we do down by the beach as well.
Just to add to that, at the night time, the gate is completely shut and locked with a chain. We obviously are in a field, which is why the nighttime supervision is so high. And the nighttime duty manager will have a small hut, and everybody knows where that hut is. They will do walk-arounds intermittently throughout the evening and throughout the night to make sure that everybody is safe and sound.
Yeah.
So the accommodation, as you can see from the pictures, is a lovely big bell tent. They are spacious, they are very beautiful. They're pre-pitched for us, thank goodness.
Yeah, that would be
awful. We have hot showers and toilet blocks, which normally are for our school, but there can be crossovers depending on how many children we need to get showered at one point, depending on what activity we've done. There are changing areas for wet kit. So if we're getting in either into our wetsuits or out of our wetsuits, there are areas. So there is an element of privacy there. And there is a washing line. So do send pegs for them to be hanging up their wet clothes. Fingers crossed we get hot weather and they dry, so the washing line can be used to its full capacity. Now, in terms of sleeping bag and pillow, this is again a really, really important point. The children need a warm sleeping bag. I know that we're going in June, and I know that we hope the weather's hot. And even if the weather is absolutely blazing hot, at night time, the temperatures do drop.
Yeah.
So the children need a proper camping sleeping bag. And I can't say that more. So if there for any reason you cannot get a warm camping sleeping bag, please do let the school know. It is integral that they come with one that keeps them warm and they get a good night's sleep ready for the activities the next day, and a pillow. I know a few children in previous years have bought a small camping pillow that kind of rolls up like an anorak in a little bag. As much as these are great if you're camping for a couple of days and you can, maybe knit your sisters or your brothers or your dad's pillow or your mum's pillow or whoever looks after you, that I would say is not a big enough pillow for them to get a comfy night's sleep. When they get there, they have almost like a yoga mat, the thick yoga mat, but that pillow really will be integral to them getting a good night's sleep. So sleeping apparatus, the sleeping bag and the pillow really are very, very important.
Yeah.
So here are some pictures of some of the activities we do. So in the top right corner, or my right, we have the kayaking. Underneath, we've got the bushcraft, which is where we go up to the forest for a whole day. We do archery, we do fire lighting. So on certain years, we've made nettle tea, we've made bread and baked it over the fire.
Shelters.
We've built shelters. We play hide and seek in the woods and the forest, which they absolutely love, and an abundance of other games as well. It really is a day of complete nature. They learn about the plants around them and all the information that surrounds them. It's a fantastic day.
Yeah.
Then we've got abseiling, which we haven't had on our timetable before, but it could be on there this year. Then we got the raft building, which is always fun to see whether it floats or sinks. More often than not, it does float. And then at the bottom on the left, that is a young person doing some co-steering, which is where we look at the rocks, we look at erosion, we look at how to safely maneuver around the rocks, and the children get to do some high jumps if they choose to. But I can't stress enough that nobody is forced to do anything they don't want. There is complete autonomy, and the children are given a choice. Sometimes there is, why don't we try together? And we do try and spur them on, but there is no way are they ever forced to do anything they don't want to do. It is a holiday and they're there to enjoy themselves, and that is the main idea of the trip. So the meals. Miss Aileen, do you want to do the meals?
I can do the meals.
And the only reason why I'm not asking Miss Calder, because it's Miss Calder's first year this year, so she's information gathering like the rest of you are on the other end of the screen. But Mrs. Ailing is a year in, so do you want to do meals?
Okay, so meals, obviously they've got really good wholesome food. Breakfast is always they have hot and cold options. So cereals, they've got things like Cocoa Pops. I think they had Shreddies, lots of different Frosties, lots of different things for cold. Hot, they sometimes had things like sausages, bacon, stuff like that.
Pancakes,
yes. And sometimes waffles. As you can imagine, the food is just an amazing thing for us and for the children. Also, the evening meal, they do have the option as well to have salad along with all their dinner. So they have things like pizzas or burgers or
pasta.
Whatever things we have, pastas. We had chicken nuggets, fish, I think we had as well. But yeah, there's just an array of food. I don't think they're going to go hungry at all. And obviously, if there is anything, we can always sort it out and make sure they're all okay. And the daily packed lunch is things like sandwiches, baguettes with crisps, a little bit of fruit, maybe a little flapjack or a cookie.
A big flapjack or cookie. They're
sometimes
like massive wedges of homemade flapjack or brownie. But the thing is,
it sounds like we're getting more excited for our food, but genuinely, the whole thing is great. So,
But the other thing is, I think it's really important, and which is why I made a point at the beginning of the recording to say that we don't just feel like a number, is because every single child is viewed as an individual. And if for any reason there is a meal or there is something that crops up on our trip, which means that they are not getting enough food for them to be sustained and be enjoying the activities, they are on it, and they will make individual things within reason to make sure that your child is happy and fed. Obviously, we do say they can bring a couple of snacks in their suitcases. Why not? If I was an 11 or 10-year-old child going on a school trip, I would do exactly the same. We do just say no nuts at all. We are a completely no-nut school. So they wanted to bring a couple of bags of crisps and some Haribos. That is fine. We just remind them to pace themselves, because it gets to Wednesday and they're like, we need snacks. And we're like, well, we're all out, guys. There's no kitchen cupboard to nip off to. I think that's the point. So they need to make sure they eat a hearty lunch, a hearty dinner, and a hearty breakfast, because, you know, they need to be sustained throughout all the activities. And it's a busy, busy, busy residential.
And you will get lunch choice options as well. I think you can choose from things like ham and cheese, tuna. There's like a vegetarian option. There's lots of different options that you can choose before you go. So you'll fill all that out online.
Yeah, that will be a big online form. You'll get a link nearer the time with a big online form that you'll fill it all in, and it all gets pinged back to us. It's very easy and comprehensive. So this is a sample itinerary. It just gives you an idea as to the kind of things they'll be up to on a day-to-day throughout the week. Another thing I think is really important to stress is that, you know, in terms of PGL, you know, they get a little taster of lots and lots and lots of activities. Well, this is a progressive residential, and we're progressing now for them doing maybe less activities, but they're learning it as a proper skill, and they're almost learning a mastery understanding of that. The instructors take it really, really slow. They break down all of the skills. The skills build upon one another. And by the end of the 3.5-hour session, they will be almost, you know, not professionals, don't get me wrong, but they'll be really mastering the skill of paddleboarding and mastering the skill of kayaking, or, you know, fire lighting and all those kinds of things. So our mornings normally start around 7:30, and with a flutter of the eyelashes or a wink, we normally get a good breakfast slot, not too early, but not too late. We go down to breakfast, which is in the mess tent. Then we'll normally start our morning activity at 9 o'clock, and that will go till 12:30. That's inclusive of getting all of our kit on. That's inclusive of traveling if we need to the location that we're at. And then that's also inclusive of lunch. And then at 1 o'clock, we start our second activity, inclusive of the travel again. And then we'll do another 3 hours. We normally get back to, let's call it base, Purbeck Valley Farm, around 3:30, 4 o'clock, and we'll de-kit. And then the children will normally have an opportunity to have a shower, play some football, rugby, rounders, whatever they choose to, hang out in their tents for half an hour, 40 minutes before they eat, before our dinner, which again is normally around 6:30-ish. And then we go and have our evening activity, which is 7 until 9 p.m. at night. So the children are on the go non-stop from about 7 o'clock when we wake them up till about 9:30. And then, of course, it takes them a while to soften and chill out and sort of bed down. And we normally say, right, guys, torches off and quiet talking by about 10 o'clock. Fingers crossed they're all absolutely zonko by 10:30, but that is certainly a fingers crossed. It's not a given. But you can see we do paddleboarding. We are doing crabbing this year, so we're going to go down to the local
seafront.
That's the one, when we do crabbing. And we also have fish and chips. So we'll be asking you for your preference for that as well. So yeah, that's an idea. That's just an idea of the kind of things that they'll be up to.
Okay, so obviously to get there, we're going to travel by coach. We are all going on the same coach this year, even though we've got 3 classes, we're same coach. We'll be going from Waterside Drive, so please feel free if you want to stick around and help get the luggage on the coach, as that's normally the bane of our lives, pretty much. But yeah, if you want to just come and see them off, that's great. We're getting on the coach from Waterside Drive, like I said, straight to Purbeck Valley Farm. We'll be coming back, obviously, by coach and getting dropped off at Waterside Drive as well. The kit list we've provided you now, so you should have had that emailed yesterday, and we've also given a hard copy to all the children yesterday or today, so just make sure you've obviously kind of stick to that, because that will provide you everything that you're going to need. We do say that there is no electronic games or devices, mobile phones in particular, absolutely under any circumstances they are not allowed their phone.
I had a few comments today. They said, Miss Curtin, I can't come. I said, why can't you come? I can't go without my phone for a week. I said, oh, behave. I said, of course you can. It'll be a nice breath of fresh air, and it'll just be no electronics for a week. When do any of us ever get that? So I think that was not an excuse that I was willing to take. But all 3 class teachers are going on the trip, so your child will always have a trusted adult there that they know very, very well. And then there'll be further 6 adults that will make up the ratios to make sure that we have the right provision in place. And the other thing, on the way back, I will be in contact with Mr. Tuck. If there's any traffic or any problems like that, I will let you know, so that you're not hanging around at school. We'll let you know an update of our arrival back at Grovelands.
Quick question to interject here with Miss Curtin from Tamsin, based on the timetable. It's a busy day. At what point do they shower?
Well, showering, I mean, some of them like to get up a little bit earlier and have a shower in the morning. That's not so many. Most of them will shower in the early evening before dinner. That'll be, but they won't be showering after the evening activity. So what we'll say is, right, guys, you've got 40 minutes now or an hour of relaxing time. This might be a good time to have a shower. And we always check and make sure that we have a walk around, and you can normally tell because they look ever so squeaky clean. And then it is just be teeth brushing after the evening activity.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So this is the example kit list, and I've sort of highlighted or bolded anything that I feel is really, really important. Please bear in mind, there's no weight allowance, there's no luggage parameters that we want you to stick within. It does say a medium-sized suitcase. If your child can pull and carry their own suitcase, they can take it. There won't be anyone to carry or pull their own suitcase, or pull their suitcases. We'll be pulling and carrying our own. So that's kind of the rules that I would stick within. Again, I've made it really clear about the thick sleeping bag. I cannot say that enough. Warm nightwear. They're definitely going to need a refillable bottle, and a bottle like this, unfortunately, will not be adequate for the whole week. Oh, which way am I going? For the whole week. They need a proper refillable water bottle, and I would say don't bring air up water bottles. We are here, there, and everywhere. Bags are put, although they're in secure places, the kids can chuck them down in excitement to get onto the activity. And if they break, an air up, I know, is not a cheap bottle. So something relatively sturdy but large, but obviously not the 2 litres. That one, not those big ones. A rucksack, definitely a full size normal school rucksack. None of these little miniature rucksacks. They need to fit their lunch, their water bottle, their sun hat, their sun cream, potentially a towel and a second pair of clothes for the day. They need to be able to fit in everything they're going to need. And if we have the tiny little rucksacks or the ones that go over the one shoulder, things are just going to get lost. So a proper school rucksack that goes over both of your arms is the best. And the other thing I wanted to say was sun cream. Every single child needs to bring their own sun cream. It needs to be factor 50 and it needs to be water resistant, regardless of skin tone, because it's windburn as well as sunburn. So when we're out in the sea and we're out there all day, we need to make sure the children are protected, and that's inclusive of a sun hat as well. I cannot stress to you more how strong the sun is, and when you're out there and you're having fun and you're in the water and you don't feel the heat like you would if you were necessarily sunbathing, sunburn can really creep up on you. So we are relentless in getting them in lines, and they all help each other do their sun cream. But in terms of borrowing sun creams, because of allergies and things like that, we really, really need each child to have their own sun cream and a sun hat. That is really, really important. All medicines, just quickly, need to be checked in. So it'll be a bit like an airport when you arrive here on the Monday. In the main hall, we'll have tables set up, and your group leader for your child will be in the hall. There'll be lists up all over the doors where you can check, where's my child's name, who's her or his group leader. You'll then go to the group leader. All the medicine will stay with the group leader. They will not be keeping it in their own bags. We will have some forms there, and which will say, name, what the medicine is, what the dosage is, and everything else. On the paper copy that I've sent home, I have added onto there about giving allergy medication and Calpol. We do take some Calpol from school, and we do take some allergy medication from school. I would just be aware that obviously we're in a field and we're in the countryside, and children that have not necessarily suffered from hay fever have suffered from hay fever when we're away, because we are just surrounded by pollen. We're sleeping in a field. So at times I've had to ring parents, say, would you mind if I administer some of the Piriton that I've brought with me? But if your child does suffer from hay fever, even just a smidgen, I would really, really advise you sending some hay fever relief.
And that will stay with the group leader as well.
Everything will stay with the group leader. Like Mr. Tuck said, I think, or was it you that said no mobile phones? Yeah. There is no electronics at all, no smartwatches, no mobile phones, no electric cameras, just because of damage, and they don't need them. We have said they can bring a disposable camera, going back to the old school, which you can pick up from Boots or Superdrug or somewhere like that. But yeah, all of these questions will be asked you when you sign them in on that Monday morning. But it's just good, knowledge is power, and to give you the information now, it means that you can properly prepare, and everybody knows where they stand.
Okay, so further information. When we leave on the Monday, we are going to be leaving at 9 a.m. prompt. I think we normally open about 8:15, just to kind of get them in the hall, get them ready, get them checked in, make sure we have everything that we need, and just to make sure the kids can kind of get excited about the trip that they're finally going on. And we do aim to leave, like I said, at 9 a.m. from Waterside Drive. We arrive back at school on the Friday around 4 p.m. But like Miss Curtin said, she will update if there's any traffic or anything that's kind of getting in the way of us getting back for that time. Collecting from the front office, I think we've done it differently over the last few years. Obviously, last year we actually collected from Waterside Drive. So depending on maybe what Mr. Tuck says on that day, we'll either collect from Waterside Drive or potentially bring them back to school and dismiss from school. But the text message will come out. Medicine to be checked in to school staff on the morning of the trip, like Miss Curtin says. It's just really clear. Please make sure any medicine that you do check in has the correct dosage and their name is clearly marked on what you give us. If you want to, you can maybe put the medicine into a little sandwich bag and then it all kind of stays together.
That's also, sorry to interrupt, Miss Sadie,
that's
also inclusive of any travel sickness tablets and things like that too.
All contacts through the school. So Miss Curtin will have the school mobile. So any contact that you need or that we need to get through to you, it will come via the school or Miss Curtin. And obviously, please ensure that the online form has been completed. The medical and the dietary requirements, again, you've had that through on email. You've also had it sent to you in hard copy. So whichever you'd prefer, as long as you make sure that's completed and sent back to us, that would be amazing.
And just 2 further points, just to give you some extra work, we do our own forms because we like to do our side of the due diligence, but also Land and Wave will also send you a medical form. So that has not come out yet. That will come out later in the year. And that will be something that you can just go in through the link on your phone, you fill it in, and I will get it pinged back to me at school. So just to make it really clear, we have sent you the Grovelands pack through email, and the Year 6 teachers have sent you a paper copy of that Grovelands pack home either yesterday or today. But then later on in the year, probably end of May, beginning of June, you will get a link from Land and Wave. And that is a separate document that you also need to do from their side of things. In terms of the contact through school, I can appreciate that you are sending your absolute worlds away with us, and we feel very privileged that you are entrusting us with your children. Please, I promise you, if there is anything you need to know, I will make sure that I am contacting Mr. Tuck, regardless of what time of day it is. We will make sure you are kept up, informed, and all information is passed on. And that is vice versa if you need to contact Mr. Tuck. So please do not worry and think that we won't. You know, I can understand that they are your everything, and we completely understand that. We'll make sure that you are well informed of anything you need to know. And there was one other thing that I was going to mention. That has gone from my brain, but it may come back. Let's move on. So, any questions, Mr. Tuck? What's the chat saying?
So there aren't any further questions in the chat, but what I'll do now is just stop sharing and come back to everyone. Before I ask for any other questions, there was something I wanted to say as well. That was it. So in terms of us contacting you, what we do like to do is keep you up to speed with what's happening. And on that first day, and actually every day, we would aim to send you at least 2 updates. And what we would try and do is send you one sort of in the morning towards lunchtimes, and then send you one sort of late afternoon, early evening, so that we can keep you up to speed with what they've been up to, let you know what the activities have been and what they've been enjoying. And then on that Friday, we would keep you posted via Scope on the ETA. So usually Google Maps will tell us when we can expect the Year 6 group to arrive back, but we'll keep you posted as to what the collection arrangements be. So if you've got any questions, please for now just pop them in the chat. We've got a question from Jane. Thank you, Jane. Which is that, you know, if there is someone who maybe isn't as strong a swimmer, would they miss out on any of the activities or learning?
So the only activity that Land and Wave feel that a child needs to have a certain competency in terms of swimming is the co-steering. And last year they informed me that if a child is not competent enough to swim, and there is a certain
25 meters, I think.
Caveat on the form that we sent home either yesterday or today, then it may be that they are given a different activity to the co-steering. So they won't miss out. They won't be sat doing nothing. They'll just be given a different water-based activity. Maybe they would do slip and slide, while the ones that can swim confidently could go and do close steering. And that is merely from a safety perspective. Or it might be that there might be a group where there's a lot of weaker swimmers, and it might be that they just edit their workshop slightly, and that we do a different set of activities to maybe a group where there are a lot stronger swimmers. So it is just, they definitely won't miss out, Jane. It will just mean that the activity is slightly amended to keep everybody safe.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kurt. And the next question is, can we take pictures and share them with home? So that's something, you know, we have to be aware of everyone's permissions around pictures, and some people have permission and some people don't. But in the past, we have set up a little group where we've shared some pictures. If we can do that this year, then we will look to do that again, but we'll keep you posted about that. Feel free now, if you would like to unmute yourself and ask any questions. This is probably the last chance to do that. So we'll stay here for a minute. It sounds like, I think, Ms. Curtin, that was a really informative presentation. So I think, you know, many of the questions that people may have had will have been answered through the process of the meeting. But what I would say is, if you do have any questions after the fact, or if you have any individual concerns or worries about your child, or there's just anything you think we need to know, if you could just let us know, either by emailing info or just getting in touch with your child's teacher, and we will always get back to you. There was one final question there.
Right.
I think someone's unmuted to ask us a question, or was it just to give us a wave?
Please, no, if I can, no, I do want to ask. Where do the teachers sleep? I know they obviously are near the children, and whereabouts are the toilets if they need the toilet in the night, or?
So we have a camp which is separate from other camps. We're all in the same field, but we're sort of spaced out. So the boys will be at one end of our camp area, and the girls will be down the other end of our camp area. And then the teachers' tents are dotted around. We're all in a tent on our own. So each teacher has their own tent. And on the teacher tents, there is almost like a flag bunting. We make it really clear to the children that if you want a teacher, you go to a tent that has a flagged bunting on it. Toilets during the night time, we do ask the children to use the portaloos, just because we don't want them wandering off into the field at night time. Although we do a kind of a toilet check and say, right guys, if you do need to go to the toilet, go now, kind of thing. And then during the night, obviously they'll all be bringing a small little torch. They normally ask one of their friends to go with them. I sometimes even wake Mrs. Ailing up and say, can you come with me? Because it is dark, and that we just go to the portaloos during the evening.
All right, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. Really good question. Thank you. A couple more questions. The first about disposable cameras. Is there anyone to help the children take pictures if they would like to take a picture with their little group?
Of course, yeah. If the children, I mean, what I would do is maybe explain how to use a disposable camera. The amount of times that, because it's just so alien to them, because you have to like wind it on and stuff, just to give them a quick recce of how to use it before they leave. But of course, if they want to have a photo with their friends, we're always more than happy to take photos of them. We just choose not to necessarily be in any of the photos ourselves.
I do think it's really important to make sure that the children know, once they've taken the photo, they can't then see it. So on a disposable camera, I think a lot of them were kind of just clicking away. And then unfortunately, they then wasted, let's say, 5 or 6 pictures, and actually because they couldn't see it. So just explaining that sort of thing to them.
And also another thing I think around pictures is just consent, not to be taking pictures of anyone that doesn't want a picture taken.
Absolutely.
And then the last question is actually a really important one from Rossio, which is around if there is an emergency that parents are not able to arrange to collect their children, then what options do they have? I think that's really important, because if there should be a situation and a child needed to be collected from Land and Wave early, for example, if they were to pick up some kind of bug and they were unwell or something like that, and they needed to come home, it would be your responsibility as families to arrange for the collection of your child. We would not be able to drive them home to you, and we would not be able to drive up to collect them and bring them back. So, you know, it's vital that you make those arrangements beforehand, and obviously, hopefully, that won't be an issue. But if there was an issue and your child needs to be collected, it would be your responsibility to do so. It's really important that we're clear about that. Okay. Right, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much to the Year 6 team for that really informative session, and we will speak to you again soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.